welcome everyone. My name is Brenton. I am from Thursday Dating, and we're here today with Simi, who is our holistic relationship counsellor. She's going to help us guide a little bit into our events and how to actually walk into them without freaking out, right? So, Simi, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your background, and the expertise you're going to share with us today?
Not a problem. My name is Simi Gosling, and I am a holistic relationship counsellor. For those who don't know, a holistic relationship counsellor helps people identify different patterns that they might be stuck in or different attachment styles and how it's basically preventing them from moving forward in their dating, their love life, their relationship, whatever stage you're in. It's not just for couples, it's really for anyone.
Yeah, love that. And so, look, I know a lot of people are nervous coming to our events. Coming in, they think about how maybe it's a pressured environment and everything that goes on in the events. So today we're really going to dive in quite deeply into how to set yourself up for success and how to make sure that you actually walk away, whether you meet the love of your life or not, and you have a fun time. So I guess let's start right at the very beginning, setting your expectations. You've heard about a Thursday event, and from the top of the line, Thursday events, we set up in cities all around the world. I'm specifically running the Melbourne events. We take over a bar, a pub, sometimes a run club or a gym session, and we only invite single people into those events. So it's an opportunity for you to hang out, meet, make wingman friends, make connections, and potentially meet the person that you need in your life. And so with that, it can set up a bit of a pressured environment or a stressful situation in your own mind. How do we set ourselves up for success in that?
I think you really nailed it by saying setting your expectations, because really we have to look at this as an opportunity and compare it to what we would normally be doing.
Yeah.
There's so much frustration around dating apps, and they're very designed, and I've said this on many a podcast, for you guys to fail. They will ultimately get you stuck into algorithms that will make you dopamine chase. And on top of that, you've got people that don't really value you as a person because they haven't met you. There is no connection.
You don't really exist yet.
Yeah, they've got their whole other life and stresses come up, but we don't understand that and we don't know that because there isn't enough communication, and that leaves us feeling very burnt out.
Yep.
So when we go into something like a Thursday event, obviously it's now very different because we're not hiding behind a screen.
Yeah.
So that does mean that we do feel quite nervous, and I think it's really important to honor that and to know that that's a normal human experience and go in not necessarily looking to meet the love of your life. If it's your very first time going to an in-person dating event, it's your very first time going to an in-person dating event. So your first time should be about going to learn about the space, going to learn how to navigate the space, going to introduce yourself to new people, set really small goals that feel kind of achievable, and just to see if you flow or that you like it.
Yep.
Within that container as well, you're going to have, say, 200 people at the event. That's all in a specific age group, but not all of those people are going to be your type because you've really got different demographics, you've got different target audiences, etc. So go in, and if there's 3 to 4 people that you vibe with, that's a win.
That's absolutely a win.
That's such a win.
Yeah.
So you need to compare that to then sitting at home swiping on Bumble, I don't know if I should say the names, Bumble or Tinder.
We'll cut that out.
Swiping on the apps and really look at those two experiences, and one's an opportunity to go and fill it out and kind of get past that whole first date. I think so many of us have really vibed with someone on a dating app and then gotten there in person and been like, there is no connection here at all.
Completely different.
Yes.
I hear a lot of people now are actually using ChatGPT on their dating apps to get the perfect response, right? We see that ads around, you cut paste into the GPT, it tells you the perfect response to be the perfect human, which is not who you are.
Correct. Yeah. So there's so many different layers to it, but I think really setting the expectations. Your first event, it's all about going, having fun, learning to open yourself up to this new environment, seeing what it's like, and then if you're getting to meet people along the way, that's great. I know that for myself, I went to a few different events and I made a thing out of it. I went with a friend. We went and had dinner beforehand. We went and it was very exciting and nuanced and this is now an experience in itself rather than I'm going and I'm going to meet the love of my life and everyone's going to be exactly who I want them to be.
Of course. You put 100 people in a room, not everybody's going to be for everybody.
Exactly.
Right? That's how it works. So look, there's nerves around this. I remember when I went to my first event in the UK as a punter. I turned up as a guest and I remember very clearly I had sweaty palms. I was nervous. I didn't know anybody there. I didn't know what to do or who to talk to. Give us some tips. How do we get around that? How do we put ourselves in the right frame of mind when we're walking into a Thursday event?
Again, it all comes down to normalizing those experiences that you're feeling. So if you're feeling nervous, like that's perfectly normal.
Yep.
Your goal of that time is to go in and maybe introduce yourself to someone of the same sex.
Yep.
Maybe go and make a friend. Maybe go and get a drink. Maybe like do what you need to do to feel comfortable in the space, but also keep checking in with yourself. If you're that day not feeling great and you're not in a social mood, maybe tonight's not for you.
Yep.
You know, try and get yourself in a good state of mind, very clear in what you're wanting to achieve by being there.
Yep.
And then go and open yourself up and be fun.
Yeah, I think you've hit it there. So I host the nights on Melbourne, so I see hundreds of people, probably thousands by now, walk through the door, and I can tell pretty quickly who's going to have a great night just by the vibe that they bring and the energy that they bring to the event themselves. They're there for a fun night out regardless of what happens. So you can for sure see what's coming out their night. Now, we're talking about the energy and the vibe. How do you actually set yourself up? What do you do for that? So you're walking up to an event, you're trying to get pumped, you're trying to get excited. How do you put yourself in the frame of mind for that one?
This is a little bit of a tough one because it kind of goes back to what I said before, where we're wanting to check in with ourselves before we go, right? If you're going in and you're already really jaded from dating, you're not going to go in and have the best experience. So it's not so much about like what you necessarily do on the day, but even maybe in the lead up to that. Like if you're feeling so burnt out from the apps, take a very conscious little break and be like, I'm going to date myself for a little bit. I'm going to regulate my nervous system. I'm going to work on, you know, honoring the parts of myself that have been hurt by this experience, because we don't do that enough. We think, okay, you only sent a couple of messages, you only went on a couple of dates, like, oh, don't worry about it. It's not like you had slept with them yet, you know, and we really minimize our own feelings. But that has a snowball effect on our view of ourselves, our view of dating, and how we're really turning up to these things. So if we want to get in the best frame of mind, we want to kind of work through that as much as possible and see this as like a new opportunity and a new chapter. If you can, and you have friends that are available to you, drag one along for the first time. It can be both a help and a hindrance, because you want to be mindful of when you're kind of hanging on to that friend and not putting yourself out there. But it's also good to kind of be able to bounce off each other and bring out some energy, and then kind of go off and do your own thing, and then, you know, come back, have a little meet in the bathroom, have a little chit chat about who you think's cute. But in all of that, even if you're going by yourself, then don't make it the goal straight away to walk in and approach the first girl you see. Make the goal, okay, go find a friend first.
I see particularly the guys for some reason who come solo are quite nervous and they don't know what to do. And so I always tell them, go and have a chat to another guy. Just have a chat at the bar like you would anywhere else. Make a friend, and then you've got somewhere to fall back to when you need that bit of space. We also have hosts there, right? We have hosts there to help you do that and give you a bit of tips and advice around the night itself to fall back to. So part of that, we get questions all the time around social energy or social vibes versus a desperate vibe. What is the difference? How do you differentiate yourself in that?
This is where it's quite nuanced, and you do have to really check in with yourself, because we can put this pressure on ourselves to meet someone today. And if we put that pressure on ourselves to do that, chances are we're going to overlook red flags. We're going to push things that might not necessarily be right for us. And we're not really coming from it from a really grounded place of what feels good and aligned to us. And that's where, again, it's crazy, but like nurturing that internal world of yours and really getting to know yourself and dating yourself as an individual then helps you come into these spaces and look for someone who's going to complement your life. If you've got all these really cool hobbies that you've picked back up or you've started and you're going in to art museums or whatever it might be, then you've already got a little bit of a knowledge of what your life looks like, and you also know what kind of person you may be wanting to attract that's going to add to that and not take away from that. If we feel confident and good about our own lives, of course we all want to meet someone. We're built for connection. We're built to want that love and support and to be seen and valued. But the more we can really come back to ourselves and have that opportunity to know who we are, then we start coming in very grounded. Now, the other thing with that, and this is, again, quite a nuanced experience, but if you're going in and you're feeling like you're very heightened and there's a difference between excited, nervous, happy energy and like I'm outside my window of tolerance and I'm not even here and I'm not even listening. So that's why it's really important to like use the space to your advantage. If you find that you're starting to get a bit like, this is a lot, go have a break in the bathroom, go step off to the side, go onto your phone for a little bit, be mindful of how much time you're spending
talk about that in a moment,
in the corner on your phone, but really try and learn to work the space and be mindful of where you're at within yourself.
And I think you touched on it there, is to take a minute to yourself, right? And make sure that you're cool, calm and collected again before you get back out into the masses of the people that are out there. And one thing that we do see is a lot of people naturally pick up their phone and they sit on there way too long. What can we do to stop that? So I know it's a habit. Our phones are literally attached to our hip, right? 24/7. They're there and it's a safe space.
It's basically like a kid's safety bear,
It
you
is.
know, like
It
it's like a
is.
little cuddling thing. But here's the thing. When we are on our phone, we're distracting ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're not actually regulating our emotions or our experience. So by all means, go on your phone, but look at the time you get on your phone. And let's say like, okay, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. It's now 7:30. I'm going to give myself 2 minutes. And I'm going to have a little bit of a scroll or write back to some messages, but I'm also going to be aware of actually calming myself down and actually, you know, really grounding myself back in the space. Maybe even go on to ChatGPT or go on to, you know, Google and be like, what's some good opening liners, what's some good, like use the time to actually like kind of hype yourself up and remind yourself of like why you're here and what's the experience you want to achieve.
Yeah. And look, part of the event is everybody is a bit nervous. Everybody there is feeling a bit outside of their comfort zone. There is absolutely nothing wrong with just standing there and having a look around the crowd. Leave your phone in your pocket, just observe the crowd, have a look, see people interacting. Mystery vibes. Get a drink, swirl it in the corner. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. So
just sorry to add on to that as well. I think like there's a lot of confidence said when you can kind of stand there chest proud and like look around the room and not need to escape or kind of run away from it.
Embrace it.
Exactly. And it's a muscle, right? Like the first few times you are going to maybe experience some of these, and then after you go 2-3 times, I know that by my third one, I felt much more confident to work the room because I knew what my safe points were. I knew what was kind of going to happen. I knew how like the night flowed or what generally kind of transpired and that like the venue attracted the crowd and where to go and what to do. And that takes confidence in learning. And that takes time in doing that. But it's not always going to be like as quote unquote bad. Not that it's bad, but we make it feel that way in our minds as the first time.
For sure. You said it, it's a muscle, right? You don't get a six-pack by doing 10 crunches. Right? It doesn't work like that. You've got to go and test it and learn and grow that skill.
And that's something that we've kind of lost because now we're so used to being on dating apps and being behind a screen that we can, you know, ask ChatGPT or we can, you know, close the app when we're feeling overwhelmed and there's all these different experiences. And now we have to learn how to have this emotional resilience. And the craziest thing that I always teach people is that like you get emotional resilience by doing these things.
You've got to put yourself out there.
Yeah. You don't get patience without being tested to be patient.
You've got to test yourself. And sometimes that is a high pressure environment to put you in that, right? Yeah. And so it's a bar full of people. 40% of them come solo. So there's a lot of strangers in there. You're walking in. For a lot of people, that is stressful. Any tools that we can use to get over that?
I did touch on this a little bit already, but find your safe points.
Yes.
Right? So whether that's your friend that you've made, your friend that you've come with, whether that's stepping off to the side, whether that's going to the bathroom, like, or taking a step outside if it's like a, you know, you can at the venue and really using those as like your little like checkpoints of what you want to be doing and where you want to be going. It's all good to have a drink of liquid courage, but we don't want you at the bar, you know, necking shots, trying to get a little bit of confidence happening. So we really want to be able to navigate those spaces and really check in with ourselves of like, where and how am I feeling with this? Because if I keep myself in a point of being like overwhelmed by approaching different people and putting myself out of my comfort zone and then not kind of letting myself kind of go back into like a safe space, then I'm going to get outside my window of tolerance and I'm just going to ultimately hate the experience. So it's something that we call titrating, which makes zero sense to anyone listening to this, but it's like going into something that's new and uncomfortable and coming back to a little bit of safety, and new and uncomfortable and coming back to a little bit of safety.
So push yourself out there, come back to your safe space, push yourself back out there. I like that. What's it called? Titration. We'll look that up. We'll put it in the notes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, okay. So we've gone through a few things there. We touched a little bit on people potentially using AI for their dating profiles, their responses. The massive difference is with those days, you are face to face with people, right? There's no opportunity for AI to get in the way typically. How do you make sure you bring your best self or your true self to these events rather than falling back to that age old, I'm going to do what they think I want to be. How do you make sure you do that?
Again, and that's where it comes down to nurturing your own relationship with yourself, because how do you know how to portray yourself if you don't know who you are?
Okay.
So a lot of people find dating very tiring, because there is a level of us that wants to be our best representation of ourselves, because no one wants to be rejected. No one wants to be hurt. A little bit of that is normal and natural, but when it starts to get to a point where I'm pretending to be someone I'm not trying to connect, I'm trying to perform. And when I'm trying to perform, I'm missing connection. So of course, you know, we might say that we eat more vegetables than we do, but you know, we want to make sure that we're not ultimately pretending to be a world traveler when we're not, because we think that's what they'll like, or we're going to play hard to get because we think that's what they want. You know, it's about really honoring our own experience.
Sure. And yeah, I think the key part of that for us at Thursday is that we do have events or venues that cater to all different types of people. And, you know, we've talked about this in the past, about going to the venue that you might go to anyway for the events. So if you see an event that is at a nightclub and you hate nightclubs, don't go to that event, right? You want to go to the ones that embody you as a person that you would go to anyway, because that's the type of people that will be there.
Absolutely. That's something I learned very quickly when I did come to some events, was if it was a venue that I would go and I think that I would meet people that would be kind of my vibe, or that I wanted to get to know and that I would be friends with, or, you know, potentially date someone that would go there, then that was the generalized crowd that would be there. So for me, I went to one that was more of a pub. When I'm more of like a cocktail bar kind of girl, then it was a bit of a misalignment, because I wasn't interested in the footy and Parma and chips.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yep. I like that. So a big part of the Thursday nights is conversations and meeting a lot of people. And with that, there is the fear of rejection.
Yes.
You know, it's very hard, and I'll give it to the people that come. They do a great job. It's hard to walk up to somebody that you don't know and just start a conversation with that fear that might be in the back of your mind that they're not going to like you back. What do we do?
I think that we need to try, right? Because it's easier said than done. Take the pressure off a little bit, because you might see that person and be like, I like that person, but you don't actually know that person.
Yeah.
So rather than going in and being like, okay, I want to connect with this person and I want to go and learn about this person. Hey, I love your shirt. Where did you get that from?
Yeah, got you.
You know, and try and ask open-ended questions so that you can discover about this person, because that's what dating is, right? If we actually break it down, dating is being open and curious and learning about one another and seeing that you guys have fun together and connect. There's no point going into that conversation with a checklist of being like, hey, are you this? And then they're also doing the same. So take the pressure off and realize that it's okay to go in and like start chatting, and then, you know, you might find out that, you know, they're completely not your type. And then, hey, that's cool. You still might have found some things you have in common and can be friends out of it.
Yep. And how do you know if somebody's interested? I know it's a hard question, but how do you know if you're in a conversation and you're getting that back and forth?
This is the thing, right? We need to look for subtle cues, because ultimately we want people to be honest about their conversation and their experience. But sometimes people don't have the courage to exit out of a conversation and you kind of, for lack of better words, flogging a dead horse, right?
Sure.
And ultimately kind of wasting your time.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that they're engaged. So if I'm touching you, or I'm hand gesturing towards you, or I'm leaning into you, then that's like all good subtle cues. If I'm asking open-ended questions and they're not just going, yeah, I went to Europe.
Yeah.
And they're actually...
To shut off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're actually going like, yeah, I went to Europe for 6 weeks. I went to like Italy. Have you been?
Yeah.
Like, and then I'm engaging back with you. Now, the big thing at the events is that sometimes people are bad at contact and eye contact, and I'll give them that. But if they're kind of talking to you, but also looking over their shoulder, looking around the room,
of course,
that's generally a sign that that's kind of looking for an exit, or they're looking for who else is here. And that's okay. Like, if that's happening to you, of course it hurts. And of course you can tell when someone's not interested in you. That's why all you need to do is go, hey, it was so lovely to meet you. I'll let you go on with the rest of your evening. I'm going to go grab a drink, or I'm going to head to the bathroom, and remove yourself from the situation. And that's going to be a lot more empowering than asking them, or like putting it into a situation where it's like, you know, they eventually have to kind of shut you off. But we also don't want to be hyper vigilant to that. So it's very much a a dance, right? Because they might actually be looking for a friend or seeing where their friend is or keeping an eye on their friend. So you don't want to just like, as soon as they look somewhere else, but nope, but really start to kind of have a look and assess the signs.
Yeah. It's a skill again, right? Yes. It's something you can Google it and research it and get all the tick boxes and know what you're looking for. But when you're in the moment, it is really hard. And so you've got to learn how to do that and become more natural at it for sure. What about getting out of a conversation? We've all been stuck in a conversation in the past where that person hasn't picked up the cues or the hints and you're just stuck there talking away. Maybe you are giving the short answers, not giving the responses. How do you get out of that?
I think this is where I get really like strong with this because it's really important that we do the right thing.
Yep.
Not just for ourselves, but for that person.
Yep.
You're not doing anyone any favors by staying in that conversation longer than you need to. And it doesn't have to be harsh and be like, hey, I'm not interested, like move on. It can be like, hey, you seem like a really cool guy. I'm going to be really honest with you and I apologize, but I want you to get the most out of this because you do seem so great. I'm just not feeling that connection or that spark. But if you're open to it, I'd love to remain friends. I'd love to, whatever it might be, and allow them to go, oh, wow, like I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's best case scenario. Sometimes you're going to have people that get upset by that or whatever it might be. You can't manage someone else's emotions and reactions.
Yep.
But if you did the right thing in that situation, then that's all that you can do, right?
Yeah.
Is do your own best.
Yep.
And the more you put that out there and that energy out there, and that becomes like the norm within these events, the better. And of course, if you say that and then someone is terrible to you, find your host.
Yeah, of course. They're there to help out. And we always say if there's things happening at the event that aren't working or someone's being rude, you let the host know and they fix that problem for you. But I think it comes back to what you said at the start is around your frame of mind walking into that. Not every conversation is going to be the one. You're going to have a lot of conversations that don't go the right way, and that's totally fine. So we've gone over quite a bit in a mini recap. Let's go through our first few steps. You're coming to a Thursday event. What are your tips?
First of all, where are you at for that day? Do you have social energy? Do you have social battery? Are you feeling good about this? Obviously, you're going to feel nervous. Obviously, you're going to feel a little bit unsure. Totally normal. But if you're feeling like you want to go and explore the space and you're ready and you're happy and you're good, and then 100% go in, bring a friend, make a night of it. Remember that it's like comparison to being at home on a dating app. It's not a guarantee of here's 100 people that are your dream partner. And ultimately really try and go into the space in a good frame of mind. Once you're in the space, find what makes you feel safe, learn how to navigate the space, look around the venue, make sure you kind of know your way around. Then when you're approaching people, approach them individually, or if it's less threatening, approach the group. Remember that people are there to connect and make friends but like just as much as they are to date. A lot of these people that are at these events because a lot of their friends are in partnerships.
They might be the last single person in the group, right?
Exactly. So it's an opportunity to make really great friends out of the experience as well. And then when we're in, we're always trying to be mindful of our conversations, check in where we're at.
Yes.
All of these things.
Yeah, love that. So if you're heading out to the event, right frame of mind, set your expectations, normalize those nerves. It's totally fine. And go into that feeling open and maybe not outcome focused. You're just going for a good night out. Yeah?
Yep.
Love that. So we have gone over a lot. Now, we want to hear from you guys, potentially in the comments or in the notes here. What is your biggest fear of coming to the events? What questions do you need answered by an expert like Simi to give you that confidence to go in and have a good time? So, Simi, thank you for coming. Appreciate you taking the time to chat to us today. You've given us such great insight into everything that we need to know.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.